Welcome back, everybody. It's time for the North American side of the console relegations for the summer split. I'm Aggro. That's Taco. We're getting ready. North America is going to kick us off, and it's going to be Most Wanted up against StarBoys. Some names on StarBoys that most console fans should remember. Cameron being the one in that ADC role that really is headlining this team.
Obviously, I mean, this is Cameron's team from the get-go. You can tell also by the name StarBoys. He's quite an enthusiast of the weekend, so it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But I know that both of these rosters have shaken things up a little bit since we last saw these members, so it's going to be a very exciting time watching these two teams debut.
Without a doubt, StarBoys, they're going to be headlined by their duo lane. It's going to be Cameron and DaleyDale there. DaleyDale been around the scene in the console scene for a little bit, especially in ranked. And then on the other side, Most Wanted, they made some changes as well. Paul from PC, their new hunter, so excited to see how he does in his re-debut, at least trying to get back into the SCL. Picks and bans ready to go here between StarBoys and Most Wanted. Clow still in the mid lane here for Most Wanted, so you know that familiar face is still going to be there. More Sleazy still in the jungle, but otherwise, pretty different look for this Most Wanted roster.
I don't think I could ever see Clow anywhere else but the mid lane, and I mean for good reason. It's by far the role that he's excelled.
Well, he could play support, right? He could play Clowback.
He could.
Like that's his only one though, right?
That goes in the mid lane though.
True, Clowwwwww in the mid lane only, of course.
That's where that came from, was the mid.
How could I forget? Odin and Hebo, the two bans. That Hebo ban looking specifically at Paul from PC. Susano and Robin, two junglers banned away by Most Wanted. That leaves open Zeus for the mid lane. Strong pick here for StarBoys, not only because Zeus is just strong, but also because it takes it out of Cloud's hands. He's very comfortable on the god.
There's also Cabrakan still on the table as well for either of these teams, should they look for it. But the Kern lock-in right away from Most Wanted, and there's the Cabrakan followed up immediately.
Yeah, two C's, Cernunnos and Cabrakan. Two strong picks there for Most Wanted, without a doubt. Now StarBoys have got to answer back. It's going to be Khepri for DaleyDale on the support for StarBoys, waiting for their next pick. They've got quite a few options here, jungle being one of them, but instead they're going to look toward the solo lane. It's going to be Bellona over there.
I actually really like the Khepri and the Bellona pickup simply because the Khepri, not only does he provide the safety net for the Zeus in case he needs to get bailed out of a tough situation, but there's also the Bellona just to be that frontline presence that you need to protect your Zeus.
Hunbat's going to be the selection there for more Sleazy in the jungle for Most Wanted. And immediately they're going to target out even more junglers. They already banned two, and now it's going to be three. A Willish going to be banned away from StarBoys. Poseidon looking at Clow there in the mid lane. I like that ban. Again, knowing Clow's been around long enough that everyone should know his god pool. It's Zeus, it's Poseidon, it's Isis, it's Zhong, Vulcan in there a little bit as well. But maybe I'm hoping for some Hades from Clow.
Hey.
Clow was one of the first Hades mids that really made me not want to go up against Hades mid anymore. So that could be the selection here, with Hades being really strong in the meta right now. That could be a strong pick for him.
You never really know what to expect with Cloud either. I mean, granted, teams are very well aware. You see the Vulcan, you see the Isis, and that's Cloud all around, and Zeus, of course.
Sure.
But Hades wouldn't surprise me. There's also the Zhong possibilities.
Sure.
I would not really expect a Zhong just because Most Wanted draft, I don't think is that suitable for it. I would prefer to see them with more burst, if anything, as their mage selection, especially now that they have the Terra combination and the sustain. I really like Most Wanted's draft here.
Ooh, but the Cupid pick here for Most Wanted shuts down a lot of what basically everyone for Most Wanted wants to do. Cabrakan, the only one that doesn't really get affected by that Fields of Love, of course, has a slow immunity on his one, but the dash is good. Those are going to be crippled out. The Cernunnos dash, the Hunbat's jump, and the Terra dash as well. But it is going to be the Zhong here for Clow, so lacking some burst damage for Most Wanted.
I think that this is going to be one of those scenarios where Most Wanted try to just bide their time to permit Clow as much farm as possible so he can hopefully have the burst. Because, I mean, Zhong, he still packs a punch, especially after his buff. So I wouldn't count him out entirely, but it will be difficult. But it will be difficult for StarBoys on the Serqet to try and just immediately burst out this mid laner.
Yeah, Serqet into the Terra, definitely a strong pick there out of StarBoys, specifically for Joey Donuts, 82. That's formerly known as iCamp Solo, played in the Season 3 Smite Console League, I believe under Kingdom, so has a little bit of experience underneath his belt. But Dr. Flik and ErupT Crimson round out this StarBoys roster. Two players that are still trying to make their names really hold some water in terms of the pro scene on console.
And this is the perfect opportunity to do so. If you can bat it out here and find your way into the SCL potentially, that's certainly one way to debut yourself.
Without a doubt. Now for Most Wanted, as we mentioned, a couple roster changes for them. It's going to be Catalyyyst in support. He was solo a little bit for them. He came to land as their sub. Definitely can do it all for this team. A veteran of the Smite console scene, now playing support for Most Wanted. And then JacobTask, a name that has been around the console Challenger Cup scene for quite some time. He's been trying to break in to that top level of play. Again, another opportunity for him to try and do so here, this time with some veterans on his side, such as Clow and Paul.
I'm very surprised as well to see Paul find his way back into the console scene. It's been a hot minute since we've seen Paul from PC, especially onto the box, but should be a pretty refreshing change considering that Paul does love playing aggressively.
He does, and when a new hunter is near the top of the tier list, Paul is ready to go. He's been a hunter for a long time, played mid for a while as well. Definitely a very talented player in terms of what he can do for you with being in the game, but I think the big question mark with him has always been the attitude, has always been how well he works in a team environment. But when you just need to, win a couple games to get back into the console league, you need a ringer like Paul to come in and make sure that you're playing your best.
And I'm certain that that's what he's looking to do as well, because everybody wants to look incredible when you're coming out to play, because nobody wants to deal with the smack talk afterwards.
And there's plenty of that, always ready to go on the console scene. Joey Donuts hits level 3 by getting the minis there from the blue buff and going to put a ton of damage onto Marsleazy. He's forced to somersault away, and JacobTask very, very low on mana, doesn't have a whole lot to channel that Tremors, but Catalyyyst has made the rotation, sitting at level 3, can both heal up Marsleazy and Jacob, but also potentially help them secure the blue buff, but decides against it. So it's going to go the way of StarBoys, most likely.
It's incredibly difficult for Most Wanted to get into their own blue buff at this stage of the game, and now it could cost Catalyyyst his life, and it will, as ErupT Crimson finds the detonate after stacking the chain on him.
Yeah, that's exactly what Serqet wants to do in the early game. Serqet Zeus in the early game in the jungle should just carry around a big neon sign that says, "Don't fight me," because otherwise you will die. That's exactly what happens. First blood going the way of StarBoys. Joey Donut's going to continue to put some pressure on the JacobTask in this solo lane, but being the Cabrakan, you kind of expect to be pushed under tower for the most part, at least in the early game up against a warrior like Bellona.
I would typically give the matchup in favor to the Cabrakan as far as early game aggression is concerned. The issue here is Marsleazy just got poked out too soon by Joey Donut on the Serqet. When you get caught up in that 2-1 combination from the Serqet, just the poison ton, and it's so much damage.
It really is.
And he wasn't expecting it.
That passive going to be taking a nerf very soon, actually, that Catalyyyst passive. Actually working against Catalyyyst in that little engagement in the jungle there, taking 25% of his HP after getting hit by the 2-1 combination. Joey now spending even more time on this right-hand side. He's level 5 this time, and JacobTask is not. No CC immunity or real dashes or leaps for the Cabrakan, so I think that's why Joey was trying to get the gank onto that right side, but decides to just pick up his boots too, and get ready to potentially invade on that right-hand side once that speed buff comes up, with Marsleazy still being level 4. With
JacobTask and his positioning underneath the tower, even though he doesn't have wards available, he probably was kind of expecting the gank to come through from Serqet. He can just hit tab, or he can just look really quick and see that the Serqet is already placed and hit that level 5, so you want to be on the lookout.
Marsleazy's going to head on over to the solo as well. Every jungler just trying to get as much farm as they can on this right side of the map. That seems to be the predominant meta thus far. I believe in one of the first EU games, we saw the jungler sit in solo lane for the first 6 minutes or so. It was almost like a duo lane over there. That seems to be the guaranteed farm that these junglers are craving so far on the console. Still 4 minutes in, StarBoys up 1-0 in kills, about 1,000 gold as well, courtesy of not only that first blood, but the blue buff invade that went along with it, but 2,300 experience in the lead for the Challenger Cup team.
When you have junglers such as Serqet and Batz, you want to lean a little bit more towards that solo lane side, simply because early on they don't have the defense yet for you to not be able to burst them, and then on top of that, they don't have beads. No solo laner is ever going to buy beads, especially not a Cabrakan or a Bellona.
Oh, Clow in trouble, but a good ultimate out of Marsleazy spreads out StarBoys and prevents any additional follow-up. But Joey Donut's going in, finds the last breath, and tosses Clow back. DaleyDale going to be able to clean up that kill. Now Catalyyyst might be in some trouble. The poison spread to him, and he's going to fall. Double kill goes the way of the support Khepri 3-0, StarBoys in the lead.
Good intentions just completely punished right there. Catalyyyst was trying to get the root lock-in for StarBoys so that they couldn't progress and chase Clow, but unfortunately Clow's health bar just wasn't having any of it.
Cameron almost got soloed on that left side, but Paul decides to back up after seeing a rotation coming from the majority of StarBoys. DaleyDale is now the highest level in the game.
Khepri OP, 2-0.
Now, okay, you're a Hunter player, Taco. If your support gets a double kill, are you angry or are you happy?
I'm depressed depending on how they got it. Typically, my support player is Maddie and he just takes them, so I'm usually depressed. But in this case, I can't really blame, I can't blame DaleyDale because as Khepri, you have that dot. You don't always want to try and take it, but in the case for Catalyyyst, he was definitely just securing there. You don't know if that poison tick's going to come through. And the other one, I think that's just a little bit of a misfortunate dot.
A little bit of luck there for DaleyDale, but I'm sure he'll take it. There, on the left-hand side, Cameron forced the beads out from Marsleazy, who was trying to chase down the Cupid. Wasn't able to do so anyways, so now Marsleazy in even more trouble when he comes across Dale or Joey Donuts, who continue to keep the pressure on in this mid lane, up about 1,300 gold in total right now, 1,400 for StarBoys, and this is a team that, you know, most wanted finished in last place during the regular season of the spring split last time around. Now coming into relegation, StarBoys, a team that a lot of people have been talking about on the console side. I don't know how much of an upset this would really be if StarBoys are able to win this game.
I think it'd be more of an upset as far as egos are concerned, more so than what it would be just players in general. Oh,
nice play there out of Joey Donuts. It forces out that Terra's Blessing from Catalyyyst. Could have used the last breath there, but knowing that those tick damages would have given a heal, though without that heal, it wouldn't have actually come through. Crimson gonna take a little bit of damage off that Fear No Evil in the mid lane from Marsleazy, but after a Purification Beads, he's gonna be safe and sound. So two big teamfight ultimates used there by Most Wanted. And all they get is one set of Purification Beads out of the mid lane Zeus.
What I'm really waiting for here is to see how this dual lane matchup is going to fare, because Cameron is somebody who loves boxing. Paul is somebody who loves boxing, but in a pure 1v1 trade out, I would probably favor the Kern simply because of his damage output.
And he's gone for this Transcendence right off the bat, Taco. No boots for him quite yet, whereas Cameron's kind of splitting the difference, going for Transcendence 2 and boots 2. Gold Fury started up here. No Zeus ultimate yet, but there's the ultimate right onto Paul, but Joey Donuts tosses him out of the Lightning Storm, and now he's in trouble. He's going to be able to jump away. Big Chain Lightning coming out, but Clow around the back unleashes the book. Crimson lives with 1 HP. They're all going to get out with 1 HP. Marsleazy finds the slow on to DaleyDale and blocks the Abduct. Maybe not. Cameron, 1 HP, juking around in that purple buff area. Clow's going to be able to find him, but DaleyDale escapes somehow. Crimson, Joey Donuts, that could have been 4 kills, and somehow, some way, StarBoys only escape losing 1.
I almost can't believe it. I thought for sure that Clow was about to pick up the double, and DaleyDale just had to make the decision, do I save Zeus or do I save my Hunter? And he looked like he wanted Crimson to remain intact, but he didn't even need the ultimate there. It's just incredible. I fully expected all 3, if not at least 2 of them to die there.
What a beautiful flank there out of Clow. He played that absolutely perfectly. I don't think that there's anything that he could have done differently to try and turn that kill around. The only thing that I could possibly think of that would have upped his damage would be if he didn't have his Soul Stone stacked. Maybe that would have been enough damage on all of those dots to find some kills, but that is such a small thing that you can't expect that. That is literally the only thing I can think of, though, that could have gone any better for Clow. It was just one of those unfortunate circumstances where you make the right play and you just get no reward for it. Always punished.
Even though it's never any fun watching almost the entire enemy team get out with 10% HP or less, you also have to consider that Most Wanted were able to secure the Oracles because of that engagement, which is a benefit for them, because now that they have that guaranteed vision on the Gold Fury, it is going to at least prevent StarBoys from freely engaging onto the gold and perhaps securing it, considering that we see that so often with teams that opt the Zeus route.
Joey Donuts has doesn't have quite as big of a lead now, around the same level. Clow gonna get plucked back in and immediately uses his ultimate in the mid lane. Fear No Evil comes out, but the focus is on the DaleyDale, who is still very tanky. Half HP, he's got that Mark of the Vanguard and the Reinforced Greaves as well. Cameron and Paul going at it in that duo side. Terra's Blessing needs to be used, and Catalyyyst saves the life of his Hunter with that additional movement speed. Cameron gets baited in, he's gonna fall here. You know Paul's saying not even close, man. Not
you know
even
Paul's taunting
close.
Is what he's doing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Paul knew. He was baiting the entire time, dude.
Calculated?
Calculated. Without a doubt.
That is probably one of the most tilting things to happen as an ADC.
Especially between two ADCs who like to talk as much trash as these two do. That's what, because you know if one was able to find the solo kill, the other would never hear the end of it. And now both of them have gotten away with 1 HP. Everyone has gotten away with 1 HP. Cameron got away from Paul, very, very low underneath his tower, and now Paul does the same to Cameron. The only difference is that Cameron dies for him trying to solo Paul. Paul did not in his attempt. 10 minutes in, nearing the 11-minute mark. 3-2 in kills. StarBoys up still at this point, not only in kills, but gold and XP as well. About 1,000 gold and 2,100 experience. But that's not that big of a deal, Taco. Even that 2,000 experience at 11 minutes, not the end of the world.
Not the end of the world at least not right now, but you do have to consider that because Cameron died when he did, he still hasn't finished off his Transcendence. Meanwhile, Paul has boots, he has Trans at nearly 40, he's almost fully stacked with his Transcendence, and that's a much bigger power curve for him than what Cameron has available.
Dr. Flik teleports into that Gold Fury. Clow gonna get abducted by DaleyDale. No purification beats. He's got that Aegis up and down from Dr. Flik. There's the Aegis coming out of Clow, but the entire focus is on to the mid laner. Heart Bomb's gonna do it. Cameron, not just his first kill. Marsleazy around the backside finds ErupT Crimson, and DaleyDale is controlled. Can't use his ultimate to save the life of his mid laner. He's gotta use it on himself. He's gonna be able to escape once more with just a sliver of health. StarBoys have been getting away with murder thus far this game.
I'm actually amazed at how frequently they seem to be escaping in circumstances where they really shouldn't be getting out.
But again, what did we talk about during Most Wanted's draft? They're lacking burst damage. They've got good damage, but it's all sustained, and you can use things like Mark of the Vanguard and Reinforced Greaves to really mitigate a lot of that damage, and that's exactly what we've seen thus far. StarBoys could easily, I mean, Most Wanted could easily have 6 to 7 kills right now. But the reality is they only have 2. And StarBoys, they have 4, and they're a little bit in the lead right now. This team composition for Most Wanted will continue to do more damage as the game goes on, though. So these players that get away with 1 HP may not for long, as Catalyyyst almost takes a spill, courtesy of that Chain Lightning from Crimson.
I can't even believe it that was able to secure as much damage as it did onto Catalyyyst. I mean, that's your support just getting absolutely destroyed by the Zeus.
I mean, he's got a lot of penetration already. He's got the pen boots and that Dynasty plate helm, a decent amount of damage. He's up 3 levels on Catalyyyst right now. And Catalyyyst has really gone for this physical defense option instead of the magical, going for the sovereignty. Though it does have that Reinforced Greaves, and that passive absolutely saves his life in that scenario. Taking that tick damage from the Chain Lightning into the detonate certainly gave him enough protection to make sure that he wasn't going to fall.
Every single time, but Marsleazy forced to use his beads to escape from Joey Donuts and co. And that's a really unfortunate scenario because this Gold Fury side is looking very susceptible right now.
That'd be a good donut shop. Joey Donuts and co. Get some coffee there, maybe a couple bagels, something like that. I can get in on that. I really like donuts.
How do we always get onto the topics of food at some point in time?
Because I'm always hungry, man. We all know that. Red Buff invade started up by StarBoys. JacobTask, first one in, locks down ErupT Crimson. DaleyDale waiting to use that Scarab's Blessing, but that Lightning Storm is doing work. Joey around the backside, falling very low. He's going to try and escape, but Clow will cut off his option. Clow finds the first kill of this engage with Dr. Flik getting low as well. Great wild hunt coming out of Paul over the wall. Transforms Flik and DaleyDale into the pigs. Khepri trying to handle 3 members, but he's really just tanking them up. Ultimate out of Dr. Flik doesn't stun anybody, but provides that physical protection. And Flik, he's going to find Clow. Marsleazy does clean up DaleyDale, but now Crimson is back. That Chain Lightning doesn't quite hit, but the Heart Bomb does. Cameron finds 1. Cameron finds 2. 3-2. Now StarBoys take that fight 3-2. 7-4 in kills in total. and the Gold Fury started up. StarBoys just continue to win these team fights by a sliver.
And that engagement, I think, falls purely onto Paul from PC there. The way that he was trying to wrap around to do the counter flank alongside of Clow on the opposite end, it just didn't line up because he ran straight into Dr. Flik. And then on his backside, he actually had Cameron coming through, just trying to find the upper hand. Was immediately poked out, forced to dash away, so the team was lacking their Hunter damage.
This, again, it just comes back to, I think, Most Wanted's draft is lacking burst damage. They had a lot of targets that were locked down in bad positions, and then they just don't have enough damage to kill anyone. Even Joey Donuts, who latched onto someone and then didn't have purification beads, almost escaped. If it wasn't for Clow's ultimate waiting for him, he could have potentially juked that out. Most Wanted need to get some good damage items online, and I think that's why we see Clow not going for the usual utility style of Zhong, the Gem of Isolation, even an Ethereal Staff, something a little tanky hybrid. Instead, going straight damage after this Dynasty Plate Helm. Likely to be a Book of Thoth, though, could also be that Soul Reaver. I think he realizes what the problem is right now for Most Wanted, trying to alleviate that issue by just going straight damage.
It's just that last little bit that they need. They need somebody who can pick off the 10 to 25% of health that StarBoys keep escaping with, and that's typically the mage in a lot of these engagements, but it's just so unfortunate for the side of Most Wanted that they haven't been able to secure as many kills.
Again, it's DaleyDale the focus, and Cloud's gonna fall. Dr. Flik able to get credit for that one. JacobTask rotates in, but far too late into that mid lane. Dale has absorbed so many cooldowns this game. That's been a big takeaway for me, is how much he's been able to absorb for the side of StarBoys. Marslezi uses the purification beads to get out of that Fields of Love as Joey Donuts chases him down. He meets Paul in that jungle, but he's going to be able to heal up courtesy of those hearts from Cameron as the siege on the tier 1 tower begins. Chain Lightning going to do a lot of damage onto Jacob. He's dead. He's toast. Crimson's going to be able to notch his second kill. Out of position there for the solo laner, and Dale makes him pay. Crimson notches his second kill in the process. Tier 1 tower falls. Joey Donuts trying to invade this red buff as well. Most Wanted seem to just be falling apart a little bit right now.
You asked me at the start of this game, Aggro, if I would be upset watching my Khepri player go 2-0. I would not be upset watching DaleyDale go 2-0 every single game if it meant him providing as much setup and frontline to his team as he has been doing all game long.
Yeah, we talk about Khepri as this backline support. You know, he doesn't want to be the initiator. He wants to peel. He wants to save the life of his teammates. Dale's doing both. I mean, he's in the front line. He's taking the cooldowns, then he's turning and saving the life of his backliners, or throwing that Scarab's Blessing on himself so he can even endure more cooldowns, and then surviving because of it. He's eaten how many Fear No Evils? How many, Zhong ultimates? And has only died once. Definitely strong play out of a support player that's been on the cusp for a long time of breaking into the SCL. And I think this could be a day where he really shows that he belongs near the top.
He's literally hugging people to death on Khepri. He's pulling them in and just letting Crimson have his way with them. And that is nowhere near where Most Wanted want to be. As soon as they see this Khepri, they need to be backing off, because Marsley's been expending his bot's ultimate so early on, and his team doesn't have the follow-up for it quite yet.
Cloud throws out the damage. The focus is on Dale once more. Lightning Storm comes down, but they might be able to pick up the Khepri before that ultimate goes off. In fact, the ultimate went on to Flik by accident. There's the jump in and last breath from Joey Donuts, but a great double stun coming out of Catalyyyst. Secures the kill onto the jungler. Paul cleans up Crimson on that right-hand side. Cameron's been on the left this entire time, and Most Wanted jump all over StarBoys in that right jungle, find 2 clean picks, and now go back to farming because that Portal Demon is down. A little too risky to go for the Fire Giant with Dr. Flik still there and healthy.
And Cameron's actually going to be able to pick up the T2 because of it. Whether or not it costs him his life is an entirely different story. He's most likely going to be dead here. And
yeah, he does.
There it is. Clow's able to find the last kill. And I actually am so happy that Clow opted to go for the Soul Reaver as opposed to the Book of Thoth, because that burst damage, it started to come into play.
Without a doubt. I mean, him just popping out of that jungle and releasing the bag of demons right away was a big turning factor there. The lockdown from JacobTask as well was a key factor in allowing Most Wanted to take that team fight. Marslezi does a split pushing of his own, getting the tier 1 tower on the right-hand side. Marsley's had a pretty solid game so far, Taco. I think that During the online portion, he really struggled at times to find his footing and to be an effective jungler. But even here at LAN, when the rest of his team was struggling, I think he had a pretty decent performance. And now here on this Hun Batz, falls behind early on because of the early kills onto Joey Donut, or from Joey Donuts onto his teammates. But he's been consistently ahead of this Serqet all game long. 2-0 and 3. He's third on his team in player damage. He's farming very well as well.
I still want to see him try and hold his bots ultimates a little bit longer to potentially catch DaleyDale from using his revive, because that's typically what Khepri players are looking to do. They're looking to wait until the last moment in order to get as much viability out of it as possible. And that was just a little unfortunate, trying to catch out Crimson in the gank, but just it manages to squeeze away from that bots ult.
Caster's Curse strikes once more. Marsleyzy has to go back to base without an ultimate this time around, but does have 30% CDR between that Hydra's Lament and the Jotun's Wrath, so it should be up fairly soon. Gold Fury started up here by StarBoys. They already have one to their name. Flik does a great job frontlining in a huge Fields of Love coming out of Cameron right on top of the Lightning Storm as well. Crimson erupts for a double kill. Easy 2 there for StarBoys, who bait in Most Wanted beautifully and take out both frontliners. No chance for Clow, Marsleyzy, or Paul to get into this one. Gold Fury number 2 goes StarBoys' way, pushes their gold lead up above that 8,000 gold mark.
Clow was the only one who even had an ultimate available for use at the Gold Fury engagement. So I don't really see the Zhong ult really being a way to steal away the Gold Fury, unfortunately.
But how about the Fire Giant that started up now as Joey Donuts forced Marsleyzy's blink? That Fear No Evil going to come up soon. Joey is going to get crit down. Marsleyzy finds it with that Hydra's Auto. Now Fire Giant still only about a third HP. Fear No Evil comes out, and Cameron, he's in trouble. Good ultimate from DaleyDale. Can't stop the DPS from the Bag of Demons, but Clow switches targets and looks for Crimson. Flik did a great job of zoning out Marsleyzy and Paul. So no Fire Giant now for StarBoys because of that big play out of both Marsleyzy and Paul locking down Joey Donuts.
Joey Donut with the greedy play for the speed buff. He really just, you could tell he wanted that speed buff so much, not even necessarily to secure it for himself. I mean, that's always a plus when you steal the buff, but it's just annoying. You're just really annoying when you're taking a jungler speed buff at this stage.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be honest. If I'm on StarBoys, I'm pretty annoyed that Joey Donuts just suicided for no reason, trying to get a buff that didn't really matter and makes them lose a lot of that pressure.
He could have had the zone, 100%.
Yeah, he could have. If he didn't use all his cooldowns trying to secure a buff, and instead used them to zone away the opposition. Either way, StarBoys in the lead, 11-8, 22 minutes in, about 4,000 gold, nearing 5,000 gold in the lead. But StarBoys are not that far ahead in XP. Most Wanted's done a good job of making sure they're getting farm where they can. Plucked back, JacobTask gets hit with that Abduct. Good Chain Lightning off the bounce there from ErupT Crimson. And that's going to create enough space to allow StarBoys to secure yet another Portal Demon for themselves. The objectives have gone all StarBoys' way thus far in this game. Most Wanted still trying to fight back and reclaim their spot in the SCL.
And for Most Wanted, this is one of those fickle situations where you can tell that they want to hard engage. They just don't really have anybody to hard engage with other than Marsleyzy's ultimate, but if they expend the ultimate too soon, they might not find the favorable end of a team fight in comparison to StarBoys.
And StarBoys have a lot of AoE themselves. I mean, they've got that Fields of Love and Lightning Storm combination that we saw pay huge dividends on that top left Harpies and allow them to get that Gold Fury. They've also got that Eagles Rally and AoE stun that can give some physical protection and power in the area. So plenty to counter that that Zhong and Hun Batz ult combination. Most Wanted still looking for some extra damage. JacobTask gonna get locked down in that Fields of Love, but I think he might have escaped just before that Eagles Rally came through. A lot of ultimates expended onto a solo laner. Catalyyyst uses his as well to provide it, but Crimson gets cut off in the jungle. Joey Donuts answers back onto Marsleyzy, but now Joey's in some trouble trying to get away from this card. Zhong one tick away from falling. Paul transforms multiple into the pigs, but now he's on the run. Cameron hits the heart bomb, but it's not enough to finish off the Hunter until Joey comes in with that mobility and answers back. Joey Donuts finds 2 in that engagement, his first 2 of the game. Flik still continuing to chase out the 3 remaining members of Most Wanted. A split fight there almost goes Most Wanted's way, but Joey Donuts is able to survive, and that's the turning point. It would allow StarBoys back into it.
That makes up, I think, for the suicide that we saw earlier from Joey Donuts, recognizing that he can still be of use to his team even at such a low percentage and just wait for the damage to come through, and then he just cleans up.
Catalyyyst gets plucked in by DaleyDale. I think that was out of his dash. I'm pretty sure DaleyDale got the dash out of Catalyyyst there. This support play has been really, really impressive to me thus far. 2-1 and 9, and it isn't the usual, you know, setting up with the Scarab's blessing and saving everyone sort of Khepri highlights that we're used to seeing, but it's more the lockdown, the setup for the team, the front line for DaleyDale.
It's almost like he's playing Sobek.
Which is his god. I mean, Sobek is DaleyDale's god. Let me make that very, very clear. I have been destroyed by DaleyDale Sobek numerous times in ranked, and that I agree with you. It looks like he's playing Sobek.
Was that when he used to be on a team with Chapo back then?
No, I think it was after I had left the team with Chapo and started working here that I was queuing some ranks and got beat by DaleyDale. Thanks for asking, though. Fire Giant started up here by StarBoys, down below 2/3 HP. No real commit from either team yet. Flik zoning out as best he can. JacobTask makes a pass. Sprint popped here by StarBoys as Cameron gets off the Fire Giant instead. Goes right towards the opposition. DaleyDale locked down. There's a Fear No Evil as well. Focus once more onto the two frontliners, Dale and Flik, and there's just not enough damage. Abduct once more by that Khepri onto JacobTask. Clow finally goes in, this time onto the Zeus. Stunned out, Dale can't quite reach him, but Crimson is safe for the time being. Flik requires that Scarab's blessing this time, so that's going to save his life for the moment. Good chain lightning there from Crimson, going to tick down Task a little bit lower. But Cameron and Joey Donuts still very, very healthy. They want to keep this fight going. Joey Donuts dashes in, tries to find Task. Can't hit him with that last one, but the last breath tosses it in. It spreads it to Clow. Joey Donuts finds that kill, but pays for it with his life. Catalyyyst next on the list. Clow finds Flik as into the back line goes Marsleazy. He's going to be able to clean it up. Marsleazy finds Crimson. Now it's Cameron boxing it out, and Marsleazy going to be the only one left standing in the saloon. He looks around. Everyone's dead. He's like, what do I do now?
Solo FG.
Just make the plays.
just make it happen. But talk about a bloodbath in that jungle area. I would not have anticipated every single member except for the monkey to live.
I mean, I think Marsleazy played that pretty well, waiting until the enemy team really dove pretty deep. Joey Donuts did a nice job, and I like the idea, knowing that JacobTask is going to die to that last breath ultimate, that he's guaranteed to spread that into the enemy team. But that forces StarBoys up so much farther than they really want to be. And in the end, it costs them. They get decided. Marsleazy, the only one to survive. He's going to make the most out of his time on the map all by himself. He gets the tier 2 tower in middle. Joey Donuts is enraged by this and decides to try and chase down Marsleazy, but he's got enough mobility left to get up and over towards his red buff. So Joey Donuts going to take the consolation prize of the Oracles.
And I'm a little bit surprised that Joey Donuts didn't decide to commit there based off of what we've seen from him earlier in the game. I feel like that was his team trying to reel him back in and be like, hey man, we don't really need to chase the bots to their side of the jungle from our tier 2.
Let him go, man. It's gone. It's going to be okay. Let him go. Gold Fury. I don't think Cloud doesn't know this is going on. This is going to be a free Gold Fury, the way of StarBoys. And this is still an impactful one at the 27-minute mark. It's still relevant in terms of helping players finish off key items. Clow has got that ride off to Hootie completed after an Obsidian Shard. A little unexpected to see Obsidian Shard for Zhong, a dot-based character. Usually you're seeing that Spear of the Magus, but Clow wants that percent pen in this scenario. But ErupT Crimson still needs his rod of Tahuti. See the Deathbringer's done for Joey Donuts, but still needs to finish off that Titan's Bane. So some key items still ready to be completed for StarBoys. That Gold Fury, very, very important.
But I feel as though StarBoys, oh man!
Cameron finds Clow in the mid lane. Marsleazy's here. Cameron face plants into that wall and is now running back. Dale throws Scarab's Blessing a little early, but it's enough to get everyone off of his hunters back. Joey Donuts still in that front line, trying to return a little bit of extra damage, but Clow just caught out. I think that Aegis was still on cooldown as he fell. It's up now, but that identification from Cameron to know that Relic was on cooldown is enough to get him that kill.
And the fact that Cameron was able to get out of that full HP as well to really prevent from falling immediately to Most Wanted trying to turn onto him, that was absolutely crucial. Even with the messed up dash, he's still fine. He's A-okay.
That's because he's got DaleyDale ready to support him there. Fire Giant once more started by StarBoys. Now they're up about 6,000 gold. They've got some ultimates to try and burn this down, namely that Eagles Rally and Last Breath to try and zone away Most Wanted. Marsleazy and the rest of Most Wanted, they're giving this one up. It's gone. StarBoys get the Fire Giant, all 5 members with it. With only 2 tier 2 towers standing on both sides, I think that StarBoys is going to look to take those off the map before sieging down some Phoenixes.
With Clow being dead on the side of Most Wanted, there isn't really any magical damage for StarBoys to suffer any sort of real contest from Most Wanted, and it just falls into the fact that JacobTask is so far behind in this Cabrakan in comparison to Flik, and all Flik has to do is just stand in front of the entire roster of Most Wanted.
Yeah, I think that Flik has done a really nice job this game. We haven't called his name too much in terms of, you know, crazy ultimates or crazy damage, but he's done his job. And the reason you can tell is because we haven't been saying Cameron's dead and Crimson's dead a whole lot. He's been doing a good job of keeping the damage away from his own damage dealers. And Catalyyyst as well has not had the same impact that DaleyDale has had, and you can credit a lot of that to that early double kill that Dale got, which allows him to get super tanky and super farmed, and allows him to frontline very well, but also the positioning from Dale, and I think the overall focus from Most Wanted has been misguided. Too often are they dumping multiple ultimates into Flik and Dale when they need to be saving those for the backline.
100%. It's so incredibly difficult because you're tickling these frontline gods such as Khepri and Bellona for 10-20% of their health, especially now with the shell being activated. JacobTask trying to make something happen, but just unable to do so.
He locks in Cameron, but there's no follow-up whatsoever. MarzLeezy into the back looking for Crimson as Clow comes charging in as well. Big damage out of the mid lane mage, but then it's turned around. Last breath, Clow's got one left, and Joey Donuts makes sure. Cameron finds MarzLeezy as well. The 2 mid jungle from Most Wanted both fall. JacobTask trying to clean up Joey Donuts in that jungle, but now Joey's turning it around onto the solo laner. Last breath, or excuse me, Scarab's blessing there to make sure that Joey's in no real danger as DaleyDale and Dr. Flik continue to push down this left side.
And the Cupid hearts, these are healing for such an insane amount at this point in the game.
Yeah, already about 5,000 healing, a lot of that coming towards the back end of this game. Mid Phoenix falls. Blink there from Joey Donuts. I think he was looking for Paul there, but the quick dash gets the veteran hunter out of danger as the right side Phoenix soon to fall as well. StarBoys look to potentially, depending on where you think they rank in terms of the bottom end of the SCL, upset Most Wanted here in the first game of the North American relegations.
You know, another person we really haven't had a whole lot of chance to really call out is Paul. I don't think that this current has been able to have as much of an impact as Cameron on the Cupid ADC simply because of the AoE cripple that Cameron's able to provide to his team in these team fighting scenarios. And unfortunately for Paul, his team just keeps dumping damage onto the front line, so he's unable to really get there himself. He doesn't have the same kind of tankiness to free cast from the back line as is provided to pretty much everybody on StarBoys. Without
a doubt. I mean, we've already talked about JacobTask not being able to be as effective as Flik has been for StarBoys, and I think Flik has really dedicated himself to keeping Paul out of these fights because Clow is running in on his own volition. He's trying to get in to the enemy backline, and then it just allows StarBoys to blow him up fairly easily. But Paul is the one who's lurking in the back, and Flik has really just kind of resigned himself to making sure that Cernunnos is not going to be able to make an impact in this game. So while you're right and Paul has not had the same impact, I think you might be able to credit that more to Dr. Flik than a shortcoming on Paul's part.
No, not a shortcoming on Paul's part in the slightest. It's so unfortunate seeing a Kern that could have such a heavy impact damage-wise, unable to do so simply because of the fact that he just can't get in there.
Left side Phoenix, the only structure still standing here for Most Wanted, and Flik, the first one in. DaleyDale going to tank up that Phoenix. And JacobTask immediately takes a big chunk of his HP. MarzLeezy blinks into the back line, pours out some purification beads. Crimson in some trouble, and DaleyDale can't quite find the ultimate to save his life. Now Cameron is in trouble as well, but Cloud dies to that last breath. MarzLeezy jumps in to the opposition. The 2 frontliners still brawling it out right in front of everybody as Joey continues to push forward. Paul does find Flik on the chase down, now thinking about trying to chase down Dale as well, but Paul decides to try and cut off the escape route from Joey, who blinks back and finds MarzLeezy with the 2-1 combo. Joey Donuts taking everybody for a ride on Most Wanted. Paul may have caught him out here, but he's got that one, waiting for the ambush as well, and Joey Donuts, he's out.
It's a Serqet. Every single time. That's just what's guaranteed to happen. But that Titan health, oh my, it's
2,
Winions?
1, is that more? 2 health.
Wow.
Literally 2 health on the Titan.
That's all. That's what Joey Donuts was doing. He was just trying to keep them out of the side of the base as long as possible.
Yeah, but if Joey doesn't run to the right side jungle, he just literally ambushes on the Titan. They win the game.
They win the game every time. But I think that this is the safe route, going for the Fire Giant and a Titan that is literally 2 HP.
2
That's just
HP. That is the weakest Titan I've ever seen. I have never seen a Titan at 2 HP before. I remember a famous game among the console scene at MLG New Orleans that went what felt like literally an eternity, that was back and forth, and it ended with one team having their Titan at 14 HP and the other one falling. But that's the closest I've ever seen a Titan to falling without actually dying. DaleyDale himself can just walk in. Yeah, look at Flik. He's like, I'm done with this. See it, dudes. We're done. StarBoys, they win 23-16, 35 minutes in. Impressive play out of the Challenger Cup, trying to move on and move up against Most Wanted.
That's just one of the circumstances where you're like, yes, the Titan didn't die, and then you realize it has less than 10 health, and there is nothing you can do to prevent anybody from running in. Flik had no concerns whatsoever about resetting.
Really, really strong play there out of everybody from StarBoys, but I guess we got to give it to the man whose team is named after, Cameron, there on this Cupid. Really impressive play out of him, and just all over the place with this Cupid.
And it's the AoE cripple every single time. He just kept finding Most Wanted in those tight jungle groupings, dropping the ultimate on top of them, and that was just permitting Crimson to go ham with the ultimates.
And he was he was protected very, very well by DaleyDale as well. I don't think it's going to be part of his highlight reel, but I kind of want to see him almost soloing Paul and then just barely missing. Yeah, and then everyone, the police showing up and making him pay for that. But again, Cameron always seems to be about half HP, low HP in these engagements, but he's far enough in the back that he doesn't have to worry about it. And his buddy DaleyDale's right there next to him, making sure he's safe.
And this was the absolute brawl right here. Just everybody going at it, and Paul trying to find the last hint, and Cameron, like, kudos to him for surviving as long as he did in that engagement.
Yeah, I think he got a triple kill there, and this was a big play as well. Just finding Clow caught out in that mid lane. That was one of those moments where StarBoys really started to get it in their favor.
And immediately, just every single time, finding the solid heart bombs, the Cupid hearts all around, it became such a nuisance for Most Wanted to try and deal with. And so, well played by pretty much everybody on StarBoys. Not only the carries for outputting their damage, but just the front line and the back line. You can't make anything happen unless you have somebody standing in front to take all the damage.
That's the thing. Team effort, I think, is the takeaway here, and I'm excited to see how StarBoys does the rest of the day. But next we got to check in with the other two NA relegation teams that we haven't seen quite yet. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll be back to see Elevate face off against a Challenger Cup team.